we have talked a little bit about feelings, and feelings are very important for us because they help us know ourselves, and each of us are different. Each of us will have different experience, as Mr. Zoe mentioned to you, and Agnes. So it's important for us as a teacher to have self-confidence, to recognize yourself as someone with a lot of gifts, a lot of goodness in yourself. Some teachers are very negative towards themselves, and therefore they're very negative towards the students. I mean, they see all the things that go wrong, their bad behavior, they gong cho hao, you know, the whole lot of all the things that they criticize. And so also with the administration in the school, if I'm a very negative person, I will be always critical, always critical. So exploring the feelings, our feelings, is helping us to explore who I am, who I am. I suppose you know that as a girl or a lady, you look in the mirror to see yourself, to admire yourself. And I suppose for a man, he tries to see himself in activity, playing games or football or exercise, swimming. So in that sense, he tries to discover his own value. So sometimes we won't know ourselves very well until we reflect on our experience. Each of us have your own experience of life up to now. And so when you reflect back on that experience, you begin to know yourself, what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at, what I still have to learn. Maybe I have to change myself a little bit. I maybe get angry very easily, and I know that that's the kind of person I am. And so I may have to control that. I have to watch that so that when I get angry, I don't hurt other people. So reflection on your experience is part of the way in which you know yourself. Another way of knowing yourself is through other people. As Mr. So was saying, that if I walk into class and I'm a bit like that, the students will get an impression of me that I'm not too interested, I'm not enthusiastic. So often we can find more about ourselves through the mirror of other people. They will show us who I am. And so maybe some of them will admire me, someone will come and say, thank you very much, you have been very helpful. Someone may say, oh, I appreciate what you have done. I recognize you're very good at this. So in that way, I begin to build up an image of myself from what other people tell me about myself. Of course, we need to have a friend who will be honest with me and tell me not only the good things about myself, but also the things that maybe annoy other people or things that may make people not accept me. So that's an important element. So there are those two ways in which we grow to know ourselves. One is reflection on our own experience, and the other is through the mirror of other people. Now, this is also true when you're teaching the students. The students begin to know themselves through you. You are the mirror. You tell them what they're like. Parents also do the same. They tell them what they're like. Oh, you're lazy. You don't work hard. You're irresponsible. The language we use with them tell them who they are, and they begin to believe us. That's the trouble. And so that kid, that child may have a very negative image of themselves, which makes it harder for them to study, harder. So not recognizing the good in ourselves. But it's not easy to know ourselves because we don't reflect very much on ourselves. We're so occupied, we're so busy, we have so many things to do that we don't think very much or spend much time really looking at myself, who I am, what's good in me. So it's, all of us are very interested to know what other people think of me. We're always interested to know, what do they think of me? And sometimes I know here in the school, once or twice, they, when the graduates went up on stage and they spoke about their teachers, what they admired in their teachers. That was wonderful, really wonderful, that the students were able to see and appreciate the effort that the teachers made for them. So they were very grateful. And of course the teacher grows in confidence when he knows that the students have admired what he has tried to do for them. So, as I say, some people are it's easy for us to see our limitations. It's easy for us to be upset by criticism. That upsets us. But we must hold on to a very strong appreciation of ourselves, that I am a good person. I have a lot of good qualities in me. I know my subject. I know a lot more about my subject than the students do. So I have a lot of gifts, a lot of potential, a lot of ability. But of course, there's always, nobody is perfect. We need to grow. So, in us, one thing that's very strong in us is that each of us have an ability to love. That's very strong in us. I have an ability to love. I can love people. I can help them. I can serve them. And in a school, that's something that is all the time being drawn out of us as teachers, that we love to help to improve, to teach, to serve the students. So that is in us. And most of us are kind people. Most of us are unselfish. So there is a lot of, an acceptance of myself is very important. So my teaching is affected by my self-image. If I have a self-image which recognizes the good in myself, then I'm self-confident. I don't know everything. And one of the things that, if you have this self-confidence, you're not afraid if a student puts up his hand and asks you a question and you don't know the answer. You can say, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I will look it up for you. The student doesn't expect me to know everything. So if I have this confidence, otherwise I will be very afraid in class. They may ask me something I don't know. Well, I can't know everything. So I can be humble enough and say, sorry, I really don't know the answer to that, but I will look it up for you. And so in that sense, I will learn. So if I was trying to reflect on myself, how I would like people to see me. Of course, I would like people to see me as sincere, as kind, as hardworking, as patient, that I was willing to give time to the students. I was dedicated. But with me, also, I must recognize that I can be too kind. I remember when I was going into class for the first time, an old father came to me and he said, when you go into class, don't smile for the first couple of months. That would be very difficult for me. But I knew what he was saying. He was saying you have to give them the beginning, especially in the beginning, the impression that you are the teacher. You are in control of this class. And they must do what you ask them to do. So, but my generosity could get me into trouble in the sense that I would find it difficult to punish anyone. And also by being too kind, I can be fooled. Someone will fool me. They will tell me a story, and I take their story as true, which is not true, but they have fooled me. Some people can take advantage of my kindness. And so that's an area that I would have to see. Another thing is that I would be inclined to be shy as a person. And so when I come into a room, I would look around to find someone I know, and then I would talk to them. But some people can come into a room and say, oh, I haven't seen you I've never met you before. What's your name? What are you doing now? You know, they can introduce themselves very easily. I'm not that kind of person. And so my shyness can be an obstacle to me. And so sometimes I have to be brave enough or courageous enough to go and meet other people. So that's the picture. I suppose, how do people really see me? I suppose they see me, as I say, as kind, hardworking, ready to help. That's true. But sometimes that doesn't mean that I wouldn't be selfish. Sometimes I know somebody needs something and I just don't do it. That would be there in me also. So I would have to learn not to give in to that. Not to give in to that. I suppose the real picture of me is a mixture of what I want people to see me and what I really am, or what I think I am. So it's a kind of a mixture. One of the things that I found as a HKIIEL was that it would be difficult for me to reprimand a teacher. If a teacher wasn't doing something that was right, I would have to call that teacher in and tell them. So that would be difficult for me, but I had to do it. I had to do it. Another thing I don't like is, I don't like two people arguing with each other. A kind of conflict between two people. I just stay silent. I don't get involved. I don't want to. I'm afraid of myself. So so when people argue, I would be inclined to be quiet. But on the other hand, on reflection, I can see the good in myself, because my religion, I suppose, influences me, because I realize that God loves me, and God has given me my life. He has given me all the goodness and abilities and gifts that I have, and so they are there. How I use them then is my responsibility. But I recognize that every person has this ability to love. Every person has gifts and abilities. And so it's trying to realize that my gifts and abilities are there so I can use them to serve especially the students and help them to recognize the good in themselves. Yeah, I think that's really. But this image of self is something that we don't think of very much. We don't think of very much. My own self-image. What am I like? What do other people see in me? It's an important element in our teaching.
Thank you for sharing with us your real self. 剛才喺迪神父咧就係同大家分享咗佢係一個點樣嘅人。